Hello everybody and welcome to the race notebook from the 2024 Italian Grand Prix. And what a perfect season we are having. Not only is the championship come alive and it's a fight between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris and the drivers, not only is the Constructors' Championship come alive and it's a fight between Red Bull Racing and McLaren, but also we've got this string of perfect results between, whether it's Lewis Hamilton winning at Silverstone, whether it's Charles Leclerc winning in Monaco and then jumping into the harbour, and then Lewis Hamilton winning in Spa after George Russell was excluded, and then at Monza we have the perfect result that Ferrari win completely unexpectedly. Nobody this morning, I've got to tell you, was talking about a Ferrari win. Yes, we knew that they'd upgraded the car. Yes, the upgrades were largely to sort of stop the handling characteristics of the bouncing. But what they also did, what the upgrades also did, was protect the tyres. And that was the key thing today, really. So that was the thing, is that the upgrades meant that the engineers here we go, we can see Fred Vasseur and Riccardo Adami, the engineers. It meant that they could have a car that wasn't so aggressive on its tyres anymore. And that I thought was the key moment, the key thing that Fred Vasseur said, that with the upgrades came the ability to look after the tyres. So, when Charles Leclerc stopped, he stopped 5 laps earlier than his teammate Carlos Sainz, and it was Sainz's tyres who were completely knackered at the end. No one thought he'd be able to close out the one stop. We've got our colleagues from Sky Italy here, Mara San Giorgio. Are you going through for the photo, Mara?
Yes, in 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes?
Yes.
Well, Fred Vasseur's already gone, and Benedetto Vigna has already gone. He's an interesting guy. He's actually Fred's boss at Ferrari. He's the, sorry?
Charles too?
No. Charles' boss.
Charles is there.
He's gone through already?
Yep.
We better go. We better get going.
You have to go.
Well, if it's in 10 minutes, but all of the chief people have gone, we should go.
And you have to go too.
You have to go.
You
Andiamo, Mara. Andiamo. Right, well, let's go through, shall we? Because it looks like if the boss has gone, Fred Vasseur, If Fred Vasseur has gone and Benedetto Vigna has gone, and Charles Leclerc is gone, then I think the Ferrari photo is upon us. Now we're going to move through this walkway, so we might lose sound I don't think we're going to lose sound because I've got the world's most high-powered radio mic on my belt, but we might lose vision for a bit. So if you see a helicopter of Monza, or a shot of Monza, or a shot of Ferrari celebrating, that's the reason. So how did Ferrari do it? We're talking about this perfect season where they managed to win their home race in Monza, doing a one-stop. Here we go. It looks like it's on its way. Mara was right. My instincts were right. It's not happening in 10 minutes. It's happening now. So let's get in amongst it, shall we, Lee? Are you still with me? Yeah? All works? Yeah? Good. Get in amongst it. All right, get in amongst it. In fact, I'm wondering whether it's actually already happened. No, it hasn't already happened. They're just actually sort of positioning themselves. So Lee, if you want to come here, I've got you a nice little spot here. We've got a little gap between a couple of people here. Hello. Right, there you go. You can go and see that. So that's how they did it, is that they had the car with the upgrades to do it. They also did it by not talking themselves into a two-stop. And I think there's a sort of element here that nobody's talking about. Engineer speak, I sometimes refer to it in my reports. Engineer speak, I just got the feeling that all throughout the weekend, and since the engineers saw the tyres graining up, they talked themselves in. So, oh, well, obviously it's going to be a two-stop. The tyres won't make it. I'm just wondering if there was an option kept open within Ferrari to think, do you know what, they might grain up. They might, but this is an option in our pocket. McLaren say two stops was never an option for them. Lando said the way that our front tyres were, the way that they were graining up, two stops was never going to work for them. Lewis Hamilton's had his say. I mean, I thought Lewis might give it a go. There was that period, do you remember, when the McLarens had stopped for a second time, Hamilton hadn't, and the Ferraris hadn't. And I thought at that time, Lewis might give it a go and see if he could go to the end. Sorry, Lee, if you're being pushed back a bit. There is an alternative spot on the other side, but I'll go the other side. But Lewis Lewis didn't. So Mercedes had kind of talked themselves into doing into doing a two-stop. But Ferrari kept that option open. The George Russell approach to it, let's call it. So Charles Leclerc essentially did a George Russell today, apart what George did in Spa by just doing the one stop and hanging it out and hoping that the tyres last, which they did. Apart from getting disqualified, which heaven knows, I hope there's not some sort of twist in the tail that when they weigh Charles Leclerc's Ferrari car number 16 today, that it's not going to turn up underweight like George Russell's Mercedes did in Spa. I'm sure it won't, because we haven't heard any technical delegates report from the FIA at the moment that they've weighed the car and they have found that there's something wrong. In fact, all the cars have cleared Parc Fermé now, so I can tell you, having worried you, that it's definitely not going to happen. Here is Carlos Sainz just next to me. You probably can't see him from your point in, but Carlos Sainz is going up. You'll be able to hear a cheer in a second. Carlos Sainz is going up to the Tifosi to thank them. He's going to mount the pit wall and thank them. And make no mistake about it, Carlos Sainz had his part to play in this today. All right, he didn't hold Oscar Piastri up for too long, but he held him up for, crucially, enough laps to make it harder for Oscar Piastri to close up on Charles Leclerc. And when you consider that Charles Leclerc's winning margin was 2 seconds, it was 2 seconds today, 2.6 seconds, then you reflect that I think Carlos Sainz very much helped made this win for Charles Leclerc, because he held him up another lap, and Piastri, I think it's fair to say, would have been able to be right on Leclerc's tail and probably challenge him. Another 2 laps, I think Piastri would have won the Grand Prix. But it wasn't, it was enough, he had it in. And what an amazing feeling it must be for Carlos Sainz, knowing that this is the team that said, thank you, but no thank you for next year. We've got Lewis Hamilton coming in. But if he can just take this moment to have this bit on his phone, the little selfie on his phone, and have it say thank you. He just said grazie. I don't know if you could see him say that. Just have this moment to himself and say, do you know what? I helped Ferrari win in Monza. Then he can be extremely proud of himself. Now, I'm sorry, Lee, because having said all that, you probably lost your place in the scrum for the Leclerc photo, but you'll do your best, because they're about to do it here. I can see they're about to have the celebrations. So yeah, it's let me tell you what happened with Ferrari. So Sainz was 4th, Leclerc was 1st. It was a great turn 3 from Charles Leclerc, taking advantage and stealing P2. Sainz was up to P4. Ferrari allowed Leclerc to be undercut by whoa. Fantastic. There's going to be more of this, and particularly apt when the sparkling Italian wine, it's not Prosecco, it is sparkling Italian wine, that is called Ferrari. It's Ferrari Trento, of course, so that's what they're emptying over each other's heads. But yeah, I mean, Charles Leclerc's argument with the guys, the strategy guys on the pit wall, was that, look, you know, you allowed me to be undercut by Lando Norris here, which and you didn't give me a tyre offset. And this is absolutely fair comment by Charles Leclerc. If you know that stopping a couple of laps after somebody on a fresh tyre, you're going to be undercut, then really there's no point in allowing yourself to be undercut. Better go long and then help yourself to a tyre offset at the end. Let me see, we've heard from Fred Vasseur. I am interested in Benedetto Vigna. Benedetto, can we have a quick word as the boss man here? We hear from the emotions, of course, of Fred Vasseur, but we haven't heard from the CEO, the chairman, the CEO yourself.
The chairman is John.
The chairman is John Elkann. But we have had a nice message from John Elkann today.
I can only tell this is one of the best days of my life.
Really?
It's 3 years I'm working in this fantastic company. Exactly today, this is the best gift I could get. Great teamwork. Let's enjoy.
Can I read you the message from John Elkann? Winning on home turf in Monza is a unique feeling. This win is for all of our fans who always support us and gave Charles that extra push over the line. Congratulations to the whole team for their efforts, making this Ferrari win possible. You could hear the Tifosi. Did you believe it was possible, completing the one stop?
I think that the Tifosi did a great job, and the team had a great strategy. The strategy on one stop has been great. Great.
Okay, Benedetto, thank you very much. That's an interesting chat as we go back to Fred Vasseur. And Fred looks like he's just talking to our colleagues on Italian TV. He looks like he's in the mischievous mood, holding the bottle of Ferrari Trento. So he's actually gone back into the garage. So yeah, Fred, who was ready in Miami to spray Zach Brown, Andrea Stella, and everybody, is happy enough. And shall we say congratulations, Lee, to Leo, your namesake, Leo, who is here. Don't spook him, don't get too close. Leo is here. Leo Leclerc Saint-Mieux is here with Alexandra in the black dress, is here to celebrate the moment. Oh, okay, maybe we can get close. Maybe Leo actually likes TV cameras. He's so cute. Just cuteness overload for Leo, the little puppy, Charles Leclerc's puppy. But yeah, there you go. So he allowed himself to get undercut. But from that moment, it was a case of, well, why not? You know, tire, death or glory, let's go for it. Did they think that he'd be able to go, Leclerc would be able to go to the end on one set of tires? Probably not, but it was no lose situation. They were going to finish where they were going to finish anyway, and they thought they'd give it a go. And knowing about that setup and the improvement to the tyre degradation that I said earlier might have given them, or did give them, a little bit of optimism that they might be able to do this. So yeah, Leo the puppy must have been yapping himself silly in anticipation, and yeah, wonder if I can interview him. Leo, are you delighted with the result? Give me one woof for yes and two woofs for no. Woo! He was happy with it. Great. And Leo, are you the bestest boy in Monza today? He is the bestest boy in Monza today, apart from his dad. Nice. Yeah, so that was it, and he managed to hold off Oscar Piastri, did Charles Leclerc, and win by 2.6 seconds. Happy 30th birthday to Carlos Sainz, and Carlos Alcaraz was here as well, but as I don't know whether that was a good luck moment to hear. I'm telling us we have to go, but I will just have one last word with Fred Vasseur, who's just going in to get. Oh no! Oh look, he's going to go again. Fred, you and the bottles. He's been talked out of it by his teammate. But yeah, this perfect season, and I was just wondering whether Fred thinks that the car that they have at the moment is one with which they can win more races for the rest of the year. But I think the answer to that is probably yes. Is Fred going to try and pour more champagne over people? Well, probably he is. Anything else to tell you about Ferrari? No, not really. I think I've told you everything I have, and we've done 12 minutes on the team anyway. So right, let's go through. I think we're about to go through. We're going to go through the walkway. Yeah, should we go the walkway? All right. So Lee, we are being excused from the pit lane. So let's do McLaren as we go. Lando Norris was P3, Oscar Piastri P2, and only 2 seconds behind Oscar Piastri the win. And what might have been, did they talk themselves unnecessarily into a two-stop? Maybe, we don't know. But look, let's just look at the difference. Lee, you with me? Just here. Hello, you with me? Look at the difference. I mean, I know it's a 2-3, but oh, it just looks poor celebration. Is anyone celebrating? They'd normally celebrate a 2-3 with a load of champagne themselves, but that just looks sad. But it shouldn't be, because they've made big inroads into the Constructors' Championship lead of Red Bull Racing, and they finished second and third. So they should be happy with their day. We might have to cut, because we're going through the walkway into the nice helicopter pictures of Monza, or some Ferrari celebrations, or even picture of Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, because the story of their day was that Lando and Oscar seemed to control turn one, but then Oscar more or less mugged Lando Norris with a great move, very cheeky, probably surprised Lando to say the least, into turn three. Lando also lost the position to Charles Leclerc in that moment. Pitted on lap 15, undercut Leclerc, and it really did work. Oscar Piastri pitted 2 laps later, and they were were all on for a two-stopper. As I say, they talked themselves into a two-stop and got beaten by Charles Leclerc today. So they did not win the race, despite locking out the front row, and that has to be seen as a bit of a failure of execution today. There's no other way of looking at it, I'm afraid. When you lock out the front row at Monza, a place that's not always very easy to overtake, and don't win, then the day hasn't gone the way it possibly should have. Right, let's do Mercedes, and then I'll try and get Red Bull Racing in before we take a break. Lewis Hamilton 5th, George Russell 7th, if you want to go down to Mercedes, Lee. And George Russell was he forced? He says he was forced onto the escape road at turn 1 at the start by Oscar Piastri, and in doing that picked up front wing damage, and that meant he was down to P7. Lewis Hamilton had a good start, was up to P5. Piastri came across me, said George Russell. So George really blaming Piastri, although there was obviously contact, but Piastri didn't pick up any kind of penalty for that, but it really negatively affected George Russell's race because he had to pit on lap 12, which was a bit early, put a new nose cone on. That cost him 10 seconds, an extra 10 seconds, and then he was rejoined down in 16th place. So yeah, that's really did. He lost all the time. And talking of losing time, after the second stops, when Lewis Hamilton made his second stops, he emerged P5, or no, it's P6 or P7, and he said, why are we so far down? And Bono said to Lewis, look, I'm afraid to say we lost too much time behind Carlos Sainz. So that explains why Hamilton, who eventually was running P4 but eventually finished P5 but ahead of Max Verstappen, that's where Lewis lost most of his race time that affected his result. But yeah, the Russell strategy didn't work. A bit of a nothing really day for Mercedes, and they'll see if they can do better in Azerbaijan and Singapore. There is George Russell, as you can see from his body language. He's not too impressed with the day today, only 7th, which is pretty much exactly what you can say about Red Bull Racing. Let's do them and then we'll take a break. Max Verstappen 6th, ahead of George Russell, but behind Lewis Hamilton, obviously, and Sergio Perez 8th. A bad pit stop for Max Verstappen, a power unit problem which meant they couldn't run full beans on the engine, and both were hard tyre starters. Max Verstappen up to 6th, didn't get a safety car, but managed 22 laps on the hard tyre. Had a slow stop, which is very unlike Red Bull, so Jonathan Wheatley, if he's not too busy real estate hunting in Hinwil, Zurich, Switzerland, needs to get a grip on his mechanics, because if he's starting to think about his Sauber job, he's losing the plot as what's going on in his own team, because it's very rare for Red Bull Racing, and they're great mechanics to make mistakes like that. So Jonathan Wheatley needs to get a grip on that pronto. And yeah, slow stop, lost 4 seconds, did Max Verstappen, rejoined P8. Sergio Perez pitted on lap 24 onto the hard tyre 2, guaranteeing them a two-stop strategy. And then Sergio Perez had a race-long fight with George Russell, which he lost eventually, and Max had a good fight with Lando Norris, which he lost as well, making his second stop. Sergio Perez did the usual Sergio Perez second half of the race fall back, which Helmut Marko doesn't like. I'm sure Sergio doesn't like either. But, you know, he's got to sort this out, Sergio Perez, because he was only 8th today. I know it's a bad day for Max Verstappen, but it's summed up with, I'm just behind you, Lee, summed up with what Max Verstappen said, and this really sums it completely up for Red Bull Racing. If we don't change anything, it's all going to be bad. All of the races are going to be bad from now on. And on that extremely doom-laden response, given that he's still 70 or whatever it is, 60-odd laps in the lead, and is probably still going to win this year's World Drivers' Championship, we'll take a break. Hiya, welcome back to the Race Notebook from the 2024 Italian Grand Prix, which has been won by Charles Leclerc, and where championship challenger Lando Norris has finished behind his teammate Oscar Piastri, but they both finished ahead of Lando's championship challenger Max Verstappen. And I'm just wondering whether McLaren, in the back of their head, or we should all think, do you know what, all of this stuff about, you know, Lando finishing, whether he finishes in front of Oscar or doesn't, Max is he's gonna close out the World Championship anyway, isn't he? Isn't he? Is Max gonna, well, you know, isn't he gonna finish? I'd like to say thank you after my trip into the visit to Tifosi to the young lady who gave me Martin Brundle's friendship bracelet, which is MB Gridwalk. The one that says Ted's Notebook, and if you know what this means, you'll know who I need to give it to. Anyone? It's lights out, and away we go. So Crofty, MB, I've got your friendship bracelets from the nice Tifosi in the crowd. Right, let's do Aston Martin. Where are their trucks? Over there they are. And this is the most painful result I can possibly tell you, that Fernando Alonso missed a point today by 1/10 of a second, because Kevin Magnussen had a 10-second penalty to add to his final race time. And Kevin Magnussen did enough, or Fernando Alonso ran out of laps to not get within that 10 seconds. So Alonso finished 10th, Alonso finished 11th, and Kevin Magnussen offset the 10-second penalty to still score a point. And so, and Fernando Alonso, had he found 0.193 of a second, he would have been P10. Fernando, Aston, you've missed a point by 0.193 of a second, and you've allowed Magnussen in. So, God, I've written in my notebook. Alonso was up one off the start to P10. Lance Stroll dropped down to P18. He made his way up to P15. Alonso pulled an undercut attempt and pitted the first of the midfield runners. He too stopped. Lance Stroll was a hard tyre starter. He actually made another stop onto the soft. So he 3-stopped for a fastest lap attempt, which didn't come off. And all that guaranteed was that Lance Stroll finished last. So not a happy day. An arg day with Fernando Alonso finishing 1/10 of a second off a point, and a very disappointed day for Lance Stroll, only 19th. And Andy Cowell cannot start soon enough with this team to try and pull them up the grid. The McLaren comms team making their way probably onto the same flight as I'm getting. So if they're leaving now, I'm in trouble. Right, let's do Alpine, because Ocon was 14th, Gasly 15th. Not happy with the race, not a happy race for the Milan resident Pierre Gasly. He had what felt like a puncture, but they weren't sure, but then they did pit him early anyway, and pitted on lap 12. 2 stopped and just finished P15. Ocon was a hard tyre starter, he was eased past Gasly, and he said the car is making a weird kind of noise, but they said carry on, and he ran to lap 32 and 1 stopped to P14. Williams are next. Alex Albon 9th, Colapinto 12th, and Alex Albon ran well behind Magnussen, but said to the team, "You're so indecisive all the time. Do I race Magnussen or not?" They said that you probably shouldn't, and he stayed behind 13 seconds behind Sergio Perez. He did inherit the 9th place and the 2 points, did Alex Albon, but he wasn't happy with the team's directions to him, being indecisive about the whole thing. Franco Colapinto ran well, did his first pit stop well, and pretty faultless actually. Chased and overtook Pierre Gasly, ran P15, took advantage of others' penalties, and finished up to P12. So, yeah, that's not a bad debut for P12 for Franco Colapinto. But, well, on this day in history, would Logan Sargent have been able to do the same or better? We just don't know. But anyway, it's no point discussing it. It's Colapinto in the car, and he's had a very creditable first race. Clean race, did his first pit stop well, and finished P12. Interesting little stat. Some people are saying that Colapinto was the 781st or 782nd driver in Formula One, and some people are saying he was the 777th. But if you like your Boeings and 777, Wikipedia says 777, so I'm going with them, then did you know that the 747th, 747, was Alexander Rossi? I know. Right, RB, Daniel Ricciardo, and he got a penalty for a mechanic touching a car. In fact, he got another penalty for not serving that penalty correctly. No, sorry, that was the penalty, the second penalty. The first penalty was for an incident where he took off another driver, which I haven't written down, but it's messy. And yeah, 24 seconds Ricciardo finished off a point. Without that, maybe, who knows? Yuki Tsunoda was a hard tyre starter, got hit by Hülkenberg at turn 1 and retired on lap 9. Ricciardo got a 5-second penalty. And are we going to have a driver announcement at RB before the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time? We're all expecting it. Daniel Ricciardo pretty much telegraphed it on Thursday. And is that driver announcement going to be that Liam Lawson will partner Yuki Tsunoda at RB next year? That's what everybody is expecting. Sauber, when there isn't a safety car, when not a load of people drop out and nothing weird happens, then it's pretty obvious that Sauber are just going to finish towards the back, and that's indeed what happened today. But Valtteri Bottas, not so bad. 16th for him, Zhou Guanyu 18th. Bottas with a hard start, ran 17th, 17th to lap 33, pitted onto the medium and finished 8 seconds behind Pierre Gasly. All good. Probably as much as he could do as well for Zhou Guanyu. He struggled 9 seconds behind Hulkenberg with a long stint, and that was pretty much all Zhou could do, P18. And Haas have scored 2 points. Never have they been so happy to score. Sorry, they've scored 1 point for P10, but Kevin Magnussen has picked up 2 penalty points, which means that he's picked up a race ban for Azerbaijan, which means that Oliver Behrman, who's their driver for next year, will deputise. I don't know if it's been announced yet. It was going to be announced, I believe, either this evening or tomorrow, but that's, take it from me, that is what is going to happen. So driving for Haas in Azerbaijan will be Nico Hulkenberg and Oliver Behrman. But Hulkenberg was down 6 places after the incident with Ricciardo. It was Hulkenberg who Ricciardo pitched off, who he got a penalty for, so that was why. Sorry, I forgot earlier. Pushed me onto the grass at turn 8. Hulkenberg pitted on lap 6 for a new front wing. That really dictated the rest of his race. Rejoined last after he hit Tsunoda. Kevin hit Tsunoda and got a 10-second penalty. And he managed to actually do a great drive to recover that, so still got a point. Right, with Behrman replacing him. That is it. Thank you so much for watching the entire weekend. I'm going to end with a shot of the Tifosi and say congratulations, Charles Leclerc. A perfect end to Ferrari's weekend. We will see you in Azerbaijan in a couple of weeks' time. Bye-bye.